go. We're 4 minutes ahead. We gotta go. We are ahead of schedule, Phil Gifford. We are ahead of schedule. We gotta go.
Wow. You got that out of your system?
Yeah, that wasn't recorded, was it?
Maybe.
Oh.
Welcome to the Ministry Mix podcast, where we're bringing you real conversations for the souls and strategies of ministry leaders. My name is Phil Gifford, and I'm joined by my co-host, Richard Pope.
We gotta go!
Whether you're a seasoned pastor or ministry leader or just jumping into leadership for the first time, we are here to share stories, insights, and some practical tips to help you lead strategically while caring for your souls. In each episode, we're diving into topics that matter for your mission, your calling, and your personal growth. Richard, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about 8 stories or 8 odd jobs Phil and I had, and then for each of those, a corresponding lesson. You know, it's interesting. There's this TV show, Dirty Jobs. Did you ever see that, Phil?
Yeah.
I love that show.
Very little, but yeah, I've seen it.
Yeah, that could have been on the... We have an episode about TV shows.
That would have been a good one.
It's just... I just think it's funny. It's Mike Rowe, I think is the host's name. In each episode, he just, weird things like people who clean up like cow poo all day. But what I love about that show is 2 things. One, he highlights the blue collar working person in America. Yeah. But 2, there's always some sort of lesson or impact or something that can be learned from it. Phil and I are going to share nothing as gross as being a cow pooper, cleaner upper, but we're each going to share a job and then just talk about something that we learned from it. So Phil, you want to go ahead and get us started with the first one?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the first jobs I had was a lifeguard. Yeah. And so I was a lifeguard in high school. We used to live on the beach of Massachusetts.
Did you wear a bikini?
Yes.
Okay.
I did not wear a bikini. So I grew up on the ocean. I spent most of my life near the ocean, at least middle school, high school, some of college. So was always a swimmer. And so it made sense. Like lifeguarding was a good paying job for a high schooler and going into college. So I spent my summer, at least my summer after I graduated high school, being a lifeguard. And then I actually worked my way through college, lifeguarding at the YMCA for some money. But one of the things I learned about lifeguarding was that you train really hard. At least you should, right? Particularly as a beach lifeguard, like you train really hard to fight the ocean, to be able to pull somebody in from who's being pulled out, fighting the rip current, all those things. You train really hard for a skill you hope to never use.
Wow.
But if you don't, then someone's life's at the stake. I run, I swim, I do push-ups. I learned the way the ocean works so that I hope I never have to use it. But if I do use it, someone's life's at stake.
Yeah.
And so I find that just an interesting way of thinking about, like, there are a lot of jobs out there that we train really hard. We think really hard, but we hope we never have to use those in emergency situations. Yeah. The other cool thing about what I learned about being a lifeguard is that the best lifeguards didn't react to an emergency. They saw the emergency coming before it was an emergency. This is probably like the most important leadership lesson from lifeguarding is if you're a good lifeguard, you can see someone starting to struggle before they are like drowning or like before it's a big rescue scene. So I've had some scenes where I've walked over, like some rescues where like they never were really rescues. Wow. But I saw somebody that, like I saw a kid that was moving toward the ocean, or I saw an adult that was just kind of like, they just looked like they were having a hard time. I just walk over and give them a hand and pull them out, when it could have totally been, if somebody was not as attentive, it could have been worse. So I think that's pretty good for leadership.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My first one is I was a grease trapper. So, do you even know what a grease trapper is?
I don't know what a grease trapper is.
Yeah, I don't know. There's really not a term for it. So, I worked at this burger shop. It's actually where I got saved. Someone let me Jesus at a cheeseburger place. But when you first start working there, they were like, I don't know, maybe this was hazing. But there's this thing called in a fast food place called a grease trap. And all the grease from the grill, the fryer, it all goes into it. And it curdles and it stinks and it's horrible.
It's gross, yeah.
Well, that shop in specific had a really small grease trap. So it had to be cleaned daily. And every day that I worked, because I was the new one, I was the scut, I was the bottom barrel guy. Yep. My job was to come in. You had gloves that would go from your hand up to your shoulder pretty much. Because it's just, you have to reach in and pull out stuff. It smelled horrible. That was my job. So I started that job in May, I think, and it was summer, so it was hot. The grease trap was in a part of the kitchen that was not air conditioned well. So for about 3 to 4 hours of an 8-hour shift when I was 15, I would scrub that thing every single day. Now, I wish I could say that like I learned some divine lesson. What I really learned, everyone who worked there had done that. So like it really in a way humbled me.
Yeah.
I was a really good fry cook. Like I feel like that sounds like a SpongeBob thing to say. I was the king of the Krusty Krab. So I was good at making the burgers, and I was good at like I love cooking. So it was one of those places where they like grill in front of you. So I'm like I loved the show. Like I'm grilling burgers and telling jokes or whatever. But yeah, man, it really taught me to just be humble. And now in our church, one of the applications is we have a pretty strong pastoral internship program. I always have interns. I have 3 more starting. We have this philosophy of ministry. You should want your pastor to be willing to scrub a toilet, but you shouldn't want your pastor to scrub a toilet every week, right? Yeah. Like that's not their job. Before someone gets ordained at our church, the last thing they have to do is scrub a toilet after Sunday service. And every single one of our guys has done it.
With their toothbrush?
With their mouth. No. But there's something about a guy who's about to be ordained. He's gone through all this training, all this study, and it's like your final exam is cleaning a toilet. Yeah, humility is a gift.
We actually do something, it's not the same, but like the worst job in our church is putting a pipe and drape on Sunday morning. We're portable. Pipe and drape is hard. Like it feels monotonous. It's just no fun. And so a lot of times if we have somebody who was a pastor or was a big shot at church show up at our church, one of the first things I ask them to do is like, hey, would you like, hey man, I've led Bible studies, I've preached, whatever. You know, they usually give you all the big accomplishments first. I'm like, hey, you know what we actually need help with? Is because actually pipe and drape is normally my job. Like I train people to set up the sound system because that's a relatively easy job, like trying to delegate off. Right. So I'm like, hey, you know what would actually be a good burden lifter for our church is if you'd come in Sunday mornings first thing and help me set up pipe and drape. Yeah. It's a good test to see somebody. Absolutely. But I bet you didn't always want to go into that grease trap.
No, I never did. But at the same time, you know, as I just hit my phone and started playing videos, I was trying to look at a note.
Avatar?
Yeah. I am the one true avatar. No, as I wasn't doing it anymore. So basically whoever was the newest employee on the shift had to do it.
Yeah.
It made me a lot nicer to the newer employees. Right? Like I had an appreciation like, oh man, I remember how much that sucked. Yeah. So now my pastor scrub toilets.
When you do the humble job, it helps you to relate better to everybody.
I think so.
So my next odd job was I worked at an Italian butcher shop meat market. And like, it was like second generation. Like, so like the first generation only spoke Italian. The next guys that were like my bosses spoke a little bit of English. And then the 3 brothers were like co-owners of this business. So like, that's the tone that you get was a very mon pop, but very Italian culture and everything driven into this meat shop. But it was my job. I walked in. My job originally was to just slice deli meat and to clean up at the end of the day. Like it wasn't like they didn't trust me with much. By the end of my time there, I could do everything. Wow. And I was in charge of like their catering, which was like they had also had like sandwiches and salads. And so I would work like probably illegal. I shouldn't say this on a podcast, but like in high school, I was in charge of making sure like salads and everything would go out to people. And so I got like some pretty big responsibility pretty quickly because I was just diligent and I would pay attention and get it done right. But this meat market was in this kind of not so great neighborhood of downtown New Bedford, Massachusetts. And I had lived in relatively safe-ish communities before. Upstate New York, where I lived at in Massachusetts was pretty safe. But this was the kind of street corner where like before the cops would do a drug bust would like rally in the back of the parking lot there because it was close. Or like the prostitutes would come in that would like work down like right on that corner and they would come in and get like lunch from us or subs. And so like this is a really different group of people that I had never as an adult or a teenager interacted with. So it really taught me the value of work. It taught me to engage and love on people that I had just never really had served before. Yeah. But you're in a service posture, right? They're coming into you as a customer.
Yeah, the customer service job.
Yeah, and so you're dealing with people, and it gave me a lot of Jesus opportunities. Wow. I remember one day, convicting day. I think I might have shared this in a previous podcast, maybe not. But I was doing a really nasty job. I was grinding up beef chuck, whatever, for a restaurant, big order. And so I was in the cooler for like 4 hours. My hands were cold. Like it was just a cold job. And one of the co-owners walked in and he was grabbing something out of the cooler. He looked at me and he goes, why do you always seem happy? Which is not generically true, right? But he's like, why do you always seem to like not be bothered by things? And I made like some silly joke, right? It's like coffee or whatever. But like when I thought about that later on, I was like, this guy saw a gospel change in me, and I joked it off like it was coffee. Like I could have been like, well, I mean, I'll tell you what really gives me joy and what really helps me do these things was Jesus. But it was a moment that convicted me to be better about sharing my faith when somebody brings up even moments in the meat cooler. Wow. So great job.
Wow.
That was an awesome job. Yeah. And I'm a killer cook, and like every time we buy food now from the grocery store, I'm like, let me go ahead and slice this guy up.
It's like your secret passion now.
Yeah, it is.
Not so secret. Now it's on a podcast.
There we go. For all 12 of our listeners. No, actually, just a side note, we are listened to in 5 countries and 105 cities at the time of recording.
That's
so
incredible.
It's kind of cool.
It's gonna be 106 cities soon.
Let's go.
Yeah. Hey,
I'm gonna listen in every city on the way home. I'm gonna stop and listen to an episode.
Hey, so this next job for me was everybody's least favorite person. I have to inform you, this is an attempt to collect a debt. Any information obtained may be used for that purpose. I literally worked for like a year and a half as a debt collector for a pretty large bank in the between Maryland and New York area. Yeah. I won't say who in case I say anything incriminating. But my job when I got there was to call people with credit cards who were like 15 days past due. Yeah. Which was actually kind of relatively easy. Like, hey, you're a little past your due credit card. You just got a late fee. If you make a payment now on the phone with me, I'll waive the late fee. And then they were like, you're good at that. Do you want to do that with cars? So then I was doing people who were like 30 days past due in their car, which is a little bit of a harder talk. Hey, you've not made a car payment in 30 days. Well, then they were like, you're really good at that. Do you want to be the person who calls and tells them if we don't get a payment right now, we're going to send a repo agent to your house tonight? And I was like, not at all. But it was a $4 an hour pay raise. So my job was to like find a local repo based on our contracts, get a repo person, coordinate with the repo person, do a little bit of investigative side on my end. Like, where does this person live? Where are there, it's amazing what you can find on the internet. But in this job, I'll tell you, I learned that how we talk to people is probably just as important as what we say to people. So I remember one day I was in a really bad mood. I was working part-time at a church, going to school, doing seminary online. I also was doing another weird job that I'll share about when it's my turn again at the same time. So I was up late, getting up early. I was bouncing on the side at a local bar in the city I now pastor in. Yeah, it's fun. So I was literally like, all I did all day was take people's cars, be an outreach pastor.
And by the way, if you need counseling in Jesus, here,
do seminary work, tons of Hebrew, and then also at the same time be like, get out the bar. So I was in a bad mood. I was tired, and I came in, and I just like was a jerk. Well, you got to make a payment. If you don't make a payment, I'm taking your car. Do you want to make a payment or not? And then finally, this old lady was just like, my husband just died. I don't have any money. And I look at her payment history, and she had never missed a payment up until like the last 2. And listen, did
that wreck you?
Oh, dude. And she was like crying on the phone. I wish I could say there was a solution. There wasn't. I just did my job. But I made a decision that day, even when I'm delivering bad news, I'm going to deliver it with kindness. So I literally, this is going to sound super weird, I put a mirror at my cubicle, and I would not make the phone call until I was smiling. There's a book, it's not Christian, obviously, but there's a book that a behavioral scientist wrote that says, if you're smiling, you naturally will sound happier. So I'd call and I'd say, hey, I'm really sorry. This is where it is. You don't want to be condescending, but like at the same time, there's no reason to call and say, hey, make a payment. Why didn't you make your payment? This is your fault. It just changed how I deliver news. And in ministry specifically, I think now I'm way better at sharing hard things because I remember that lady whose husband died and I was taking her car.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm a jerk, aren't I?
No. It's funny you mentioned the $4 pay raise for the more aggressive job. I think there's like, you're rewarded for being more brutal.
Yeah.
there's money and honesty.
I just think of Gladiator. Are you not entertained?
Yeah. I love that. But I think, man, I bet you, I mean, obviously there's lots of reasons why people get into debt and don't make payments, but like you're exposed firsthand to brokenness of people in the city and around you. Yeah. And so like, what a crazy way to develop a heart for the city is to engage people at these low moments.
Well, also, man, I'm not trying to be too churchy or like too sermon illustration-y. Constantly, I call people about it that they just could not pay. And it's their fault. They did it. They bought a car they couldn't afford. They But isn't that the gospel?
Yeah.
There's a debt that I cause that I can't pay for. Pastoring was way better than being a debt collector. When pastors complain about their jobs, I'm like, hey, you could be a debt collector taking a grandma's Honda Civic, because that's what I used to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
No matter what bad day in the office, you're not taking grandma's Honda Civic.
And if you are, you have a weird fundraising strategy.
You find joy in weird things.
Yeah.
So, hey, we're going to move a little quicker on these next 4. My next one is for about an hour and a half.
Wow.
I was an envelope stuffer.
Context.
It was, yeah. So I was in college, and they're like, hey, I got a great company that I knew some guy that has a great company that you come in and you basically, I guess they contract out people to like do mass mailings, or like if you go to a conference and there's a folder with all the information in it, like somebody's put that together. So if there's like 5 or 6 sheets of paper that show up in your mail, somebody has collated that and put it together and stuffed that envelope. And so this company, they specialized in taking printed materials and putting them in order and stuffing them and then sending them out. So they're like, you just call in the morning, find out what kind of jobs they have and show up and work whatever you can work. So it was very open, very you do when you have time. And so I was like, well, why not? My lifeguarding hours were a little low. If this is a thing, why not try it out? So I show up, and this is in like this dark back room of a warehouse. And it looks like, the grandmother that you just took the Civic from, those are the kind of people that were in there working. Like, wow. It was dark, it was dungy, and the boss was the meanest person I've ever met. Like, there was no training. I walked in, he goes, I'm glad you're here. He threw down a bucket in front of me and said, good luck. And so like he literally just dropped in all this stuff. So I had to kind of like look around to figure out what was going on. And I kept on doing things wrong. Like I would put one sheet before the other one, like stuff that I don't have attention to detail. And I didn't realize this about myself until later on in life. But like, it was not like, if you want a detailed job done, that wasn't the job. So he was just yelling at me for doing things wrong, pulling me aside to the point where I just left and I never came back.
Wow.
And yeah, an hour and a half in, I think I also got paid by the parcel. So I made 42 cents for that morning. But I watched the way he talked to the older ladies in the back that were just doing stuff in a way. And I watched the way he talked to me, and it reminded me of the kind of leader I want to be. Wow. Like, just because I was doing something wrong doesn't mean that I should be spoken to in a way that was I never felt less human in that moment, which it sounds silly because it was really just a very low impact moment. But like, I never had somebody treat me that poorly as a leader or just not care. The other thing I walked away from that job thinking, and it wasn't until later when I was in church that they put these two together. They threw a job at me that I was not prepared for or told how to do or given any instruction to. They just like, hey, go do it. Yeah. And I wonder how many times as a leader I've done that where it's like, and I get mad that they're not doing it like I want it to be done. I just drop here's a Sunday school book. Here's a Bible. Go lead a Bible study. Wow. And so we as ministry leaders get frustrated with people not leading or serving the way we want them to. How many times does that mean that we as a leader have failed to equip them to lead well? So that taught me that. Wow.
My next one was as a bouncer, and I have way less cool lessons from it. But here's one thing I learned. So I actually just took friends of ours visited our church who work with Peyton and I at the Baptist Convention in Delaware. I took them to the restaurant. So it's a restaurant and bar. On one side, you have a restaurant that's like upper class. I've actually taken you there, Market Street. Yeah. It's like a nicer class restaurant, probably 4-star.
It was delicious.
It's incredible. Yeah. But it's pricier. But then they have this pub on the other side, and the pub is like
the opposite.
It's the same food, but it's like, I mean, you're just getting all those sirens in the background.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Welcome to Salisbury, Maryland. I love my city. I have to make that clear. So on the pub side, what's interesting is you get the restaurant crowd, wealthier, more conservative, older folks, yacht club people. But around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, those people have had their fill of alcohol, and then you get the college crowd.
Yep.
And that did not mesh well. I remember one time this like 20-year-old guy, I guess 21, if we checked his ID, this 21-year-old guy was like flirting with this guy's wife, and this old man who was like 70 like tried hitting him and like went to hit him and fell over. Like it was just like weird stuff. The weirdest
Salisbury.
Yeah, one time there was everywhere. One time there was this old lady who got mad because I guess the bartender cut her off because she was drinking, like she was like gone. She like took a beer bottle. It was like Roadhouse.
This fancy restaurant.
But on the bar side, she smashes a beer bottle on the
table there
bar and starts trying to like stab the bartender with it. So I had to picked her up and threw her outside, and she like broke her hip. It was just a horrible job. It was just weird. But here's what I learned. I remember the guy who was in charge of the security there, the bouncers, would say this. He would say conflict is better prevented than managed. If you can prevent conflict, that doesn't mean you avoid conflict.
Yeah.
Let's prevent there from even being an issue in the first place. Man, if you know that someone's upset, talk to them before they're screaming. Right? Like,
that's good.
Like you deal with the issue before it's an issue so it doesn't become an issue. So like, man, old lady was drinking too much. We probably should have, before she got really belligerent, been like, hey, why don't we calm down? How about we go sit over here?
We're going to give you one more or whatever. Yeah, just kind of start to slow things down.
Yeah. And that lesson has stuck with me. So now at our church, I think I said this on the podcast, we are aggressively conflict heavy at our church. Like if I have an issue with, if I hear one of our pastors is frustrated about something I did, I'll just be a group chat. Person who told me, that pastor, hey, I heard you're upset about blank, 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 blank. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
That's like our church. We do that with members. We do that with everybody. Because of that lesson. I would rather prevent this from being a thing. I'd rather address it, deal with it now.
If nothing festers at your church.
No.
It's talked about immediately.
The one or two times where we've had something fester, it's because we've addressed it and it just doesn't get better.
Gotcha.
Here's what I'd say. It's easier to kill a snake than a dragon. And if you don't kill the snake, it becomes a dragon.
I mean, in many ways, that loops back to what I started with the lifeguarding illustration. The best lifeguards don't do the rescuing.
So bouncing and lifeguarding is the same thing.
Basically. Yeah. Just you're saving people from themselves at some point.
Yeah.
Am I not wrong?
Yeah.
But the best lifeguards, the best bouncers prevent a problem from becoming a problem.
Right. Like you see videos and bouncers are the ones like getting in fights in bars. That's actually not the goal.
Yeah.
The goal is to help people be safe.
Yeah. You're there if things go badly.
Yeah.
And so I think for a ministry leader, that's just got to be our posture, is see the problems ahead of time, even if it's conflict or whatever it is, and intervene before it becomes a bigger problem.
Yeah, I agree.
My last one.
Your last one?
At least my last one for this list of odd jobs. The very first job I had, I think I was probably 15, maybe barely 16, but I'm pretty sure I was 15. I worked as a summer school teacher helper. So my it was so random. I don't know why I decided to do that, because like I had no really desire to be a teacher, but they were hiring for summer school people to help. And so I was like, sure, why not? So I was an assistant to teachers for kids that needed summer school. So I helped teach math and writing. And those are really the only two things they were doing. Math and reading were the only two things they were doing during school. And I never really worked with kids before. I cannot remember why I got this job or how I got this job, but I was good at it, right? I was good at it. I remember like I would bring my guitar in. And like every week we'd play a song like reflecting on something. So I'd get the kids singing silly songs like Row Your Boat or whatever. And just helping them make summer school fun. Because the truth is, any kid in summer school, something's like, no kid is like, I really want to go to summer school. Like, you know what I really don't want? I don't want this whole summer off of school. So like, whether that's academic issues or family issues, there's something that's leading them to that moment of needing studying school. Yeah. And so the teachers that I'm working with, like, hey, these kids are coming. They don't want to be here. They have situations in their life you probably don't know about, whether it's struggles academically or struggles at home. Our job is to help them a little bit and love on them and help get them ready for the next year. Yeah. And so just kind of realizing that this wasn't just a job. It was a moment to minister to kids that needed some help, and families that needed some help. So to me, it was actually the first time I realized that like I could kind of use like music and energy to minister to people. Like, cause when I went to my first church, I was a worship pastor of a church of about 1,600 people. And I would for my first church that I was serving at. And so like we did like, yes, thank you, welcome. I can casually flex all day long, but we did 4 services, so I was never in all the services. So I would leave leading worship for like the big services on television, and I would go down to the 4-year-old class where Pam was teaching Sunday school, and I would lead all those kids in songs. And I never really thought anything of it, but there are parents that come to me and say like, I love the fact that you would come down here and not just minister on the stage, but come down here to my kids' classroom. So to me, it just learned the value of loving the whole family in their moment of need. So.
Wow. That's so good. My last
and I got to flex, so it worked out well.
Yeah, 1,600 people.
Give your last one. It was actually 1,500. I added 100. I don't even know why, but in my head I did. I literally just added a number. It was 1,500.
My last real job before planting, and I've had a few odd jobs while planting, ministry and non-ministry related. But I worked as a copier salesman. I sold copiers. It was a good gig. Made decent money, but I remember in the training. Like on how to sell with them. The goal was I would walk in. So let's say Phil's a pastor. I would walk in. I'd say, "Hi, Pastor Phil. Do you have a printer here?" And you're going to say yes. And I'm going to say, "Oh, well, how does it work?" And almost everybody hates their printer or copier. Mm-hmm. So you find what hurts. So if you said, "Well, it always gets jammed." Listen, I don't make any money off helping you. Can I take a look at your printer or copier? Yep. And then it's like, well, hey, I have a solution to that. And take away the gimmicky and weirdness of it, but like that idea, I remember the owner saying a good sale is only a good sale if we actually meet a need. So when you're in ministry, like figure out what hurts, and not to make Jesus a commodity we sell like a copier. But I do believe Jesus is the solution to every hurt. So like when you're talking to someone who's gospel adverse or is apathetic or is nominally Christian, or you're talking to someone who's agnostic or atheist or Buddhist or whatever, figuring out, hey, what hurts? And then applying Jesus to that hurt, I have found to be a super helpful and consistently useful evangelism tool. Like, tell me what's wrong in your life. And what's cool about the Gospels is Jesus' encounters with people are pretty wide. Yeah. He addresses the hurt. I was about to say that. And after he addresses the hurt, then he connects the hurt to the kingdom of God.
Yeah, if you read the Gospel of John, every conversation Jesus has, he goes for the hurt, and he brings the gospel there to that moment. Yeah. So selling copiers and talking about Jesus. Yeah. Were you good at selling copiers?
I was really good at something.
I bet you were.
I don't feel good saying that, but yeah.
I was really good at getting you to buy a copier because paper is awesome.
So were you good at cutting meat all day?
Yes.
Yeah. You're a pro at handling meat.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it taught me how to cook eventually. So there you go.
Phil has never cooked for me.
I've never cooked for you. You had my coffee before. Aren't you coming to my house in a couple weeks for lunch?
Yeah, for my birthday.
Yeah, there we go. For you. Is it actually your birthday?
My birthday's the next day. I'm coming to your house in a couple weeks to get Pam's cheesecake.
There you go. It's not so much my cooking, it's Pam's cheesecake.
Yeah.
Well, hey, ministry leader, chances are you've worked some odd jobs, and you might have just kind of brushed them off as not that all exciting, just things you did to get to where you are today. But I bet you there's something that you learned for the glory of God in that moment. Very loud. Why did you do that? I'm trying to summarize this podcast and be done, and you're just sniffing the microphones.
I wasn't smelling it.
So, hey, think about your jobs. Think about ways they've trained you to be a better leader, and pass those lessons on to somebody else. It is Richard's birthday coming up in a couple weeks. You know what would be a great birthday present, Richard?
What?
To leave a review on our podcast.
I want a bigger Subaru.
Okay. Well, you could also leave a review on our podcast to help this ministry mix get before other leaders. You could share it with your friends. You can interact with us on Facebook and just tell Richard happy birthday.
Or an OD green Subaru Outback.
Or a Subaru.
Yeah.
So if the Subaru is not in your budget, write us and leave us a review.
Yeah.
But thanks for tuning into this episode of the Ministry Mix. If you found this content helpful, this discussion helpful, subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Leave that review. Share this with somebody else. If you got questions, let us know. We want to hear about it. Interact with us on Facebook. Tell us your oddest job. Comment below on the episode link and let us know what was one of the odd jobs that you have had. So until next time, keep leading with purpose and caring for your soul.
Subaru!